I walked out of the house and I was jumping for joy. And what I realized was what was hurting me the most was the wrong expectation and the wrong aim. I was going into these homes or I was talking to people scripted. I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want them to see a flaw in me. But when I let go of that, I got exactly what I was looking for. Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Daniel Francis. I'm the creator of the Master Your Stutter program. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the 3 reasons most people don't overcome stuttering. Now, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bells. Every time I release a new video, you will get notified so you can become the best speaker that you deserve to be. So let's get into it. Now, there's 3 reasons why I believe most people don't actually get it to click. They get stuck in methods or speech techniques that work for a week, and then a week later they don't work, and they're in this constant struggle. I know for myself, that's what I dealt with for many years of my life until I really understood these 3 concepts. So, number 1, wrong aim. A lot of people have the wrong aim when trying to master their speech, if they want to say. You know, I know for myself, growing up when I was a kid and I was labeled Daniel, my goal was to just become this perfect speaker that never stuttered, that never fumbled, that never messed up. And if I did, I was like a turtle. I kind of went back into my shell. And a lot of individuals that I even work with struggle with this because they're trying to aim for perfection. Whereas we know in reality, when you start aiming for perfection, you really never get there. When you have that pressure that I got to be perfect 24/7, and if I mess up, everything gets ruined, that's not a good way to live. And I know for a lot of individuals who stutter, and I know for myself, this was the wrong aim. So I'll give you an example. When I was a sales rep traveling BC and I was knocking doors, you know, one of the best things I did was actually knock doors to overcome my stutter, because the only way I actually made money is if someone made a sale. And I was fully on commission. So if I knocked on a door and everyone said no that day, I made no money for the day. And it was like my own mini boot camp to really master my speech, because I took this version of Daniel and I put it in front of 100 people every single day. Whereas sooner or later, someone was going to say yes. So I kept knocking, and nothing really worked. And what I would do at the end of the day, I didn't give up, because this was more than just about making money. This was really about how to speak with confidence and really how to overcome my stutter, my insecurity. So what I would do is every single night I would practice the pitch, I'd practice the presentation, I'd practice the closing lines every single night. So I got to think about it. I would practice that. I'm busy. I practice that. You know, I've been with you before and you guys suck. I practice that over and over and over again. And what I realized is I was trying to aim for perfection of having a script word for word. So every time I knocked the door, my goal in my head was to say the pitch perfectly. And if I said it any way that wasn't exactly aligned, then I'd be like, this isn't a good conversation. This isn't a good, I'm never going to make this sale because I messed up a couple words here or there. And I kept getting rejected. No one was saying yes to me. And then finally I said, you know, I was in Edmonton, Alberta, and I said, I need to change something within me. So what I did was I actually started knocking with one of my mentors. His name was Adrian. And what I did was I followed him for a full day. And I started listening to him, and he was making all these sales, and everyone were like super excited to allow them inside. And and people loved hearing him talk, and he was just so amazing. But I started to realize that each conversation was different. He wasn't robotic in every single conversation. He changed up his attitude. He changed up his personality. When he fumbled, he made fun of himself. And people love that. And in my head, I'm like, Adrian, you know, you're not doing it perfectly. You're not saying exactly what you have to say. But he was making sales. So I came to this realization of like, maybe the goal isn't to be perfect. And he was telling me, he's like, Daniel, every individual is different. Everyone has a different personality. Everyone's going to have a different reaction. But the worst thing you could have is an expectation on yourself to have a perfect pitch or a perfect presentation. That's not going to work like that. You got to have your foundations, but then don't have any expectations. And I said, very interesting. Don't have any expectations. So I took that in and I said, okay, let me go start knocking. And the day after, it was my day on my own. I started knocking. And people started to not be as so harsh to me. They started to have time for me. I'm like, no one ever had time for me before. Now you guys actually want to have time for me? And the next thing you know, fast forward, I'm inside someone's house. I'm at the presentation, just like Adrian was doing. And I remember this is my first ever sale. And I said it like pretty perfectly. Obviously I was having fun. I was being genuine. I was being me. But I remember the wife, like her eyes opened up. She's like, this is an amazing deal. My internet sucks, because that's what I was selling at the time. She's like, my internet sucks. And I remember the husband was trying to play it cool. He's like, yeah, it's not bad. But I could tell in the wife's eyes, she was excited. And then as soon as I saw the wife turn to the husband, and she's like, can we please do it? Please, 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 please. I'm like, how did I get here right now? That's exactly what I thought. I'm trying to keep it cool. But in my head, I'm like, this is happening. And then he's like, okay, man, you got a deal. And, I've actually never been in a position at that time where I had to sign someone up. I was just practicing so hard on the presentation. Now I'm like, okay, what do? I think I got to grab the contract. Oh my God. Fast forward, I walked out of the house and I was jumping for joy. And what I realized was what was hurting me the most was the wrong expectation and the wrong aim. I was going into these homes, or I was talking to people scripted. I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want them to see a flaw in me. But when I let go of that, I got exactly what I was looking for, because that's what people are searching for. They're searching for people being genuine, being authentic, being you. Like, that's why whenever I even have these or whenever I record myself, I don't want to have an exact word for word script. I want to be authentically me. I want to mess up. I don't want a perfect video.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
Because if I have that, I'm not really being me. And when it comes to your stutter, when you're trying to be perfect and never stutter, that's where you start messing up, and that's where you're not truly going to overcome it. So, number one, wrong aim. Let's get into number two. Number two, holistic over speech techniques. Now, for a lot of people, what does holistic mean? Holistic means a whole.
I've reached the top!
So everything is connected. And why over speech techniques? Well, in my opinion, and I'm not a professional speech therapist, but in my opinion, there's a lot of speech techniques that work for a week and then don't work after. It works over here, doesn't work over here. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. And that isn't a foolproof plan. That's something like, cross my fingers, maybe it might work today. Whereas I realized holistic means every aspect of my life. I'll give you an example. Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that if you were to get more healthy and you were to get more fit and you were to actually start eating cleaner, do you believe that you might start having a better relationship with your partner? Yes or no? Do you believe that if you start getting more fit, you start taking care of yourself, eating clean, drinking water, really losing weight and getting into the best shape of your life, do you think you would have a better time at work? You would perform better at work. You'd be more productive. You would actually impress people around you. You might get that promotion that you want. What is the answer? The answer is 100%. So let's take that idea. The idea right there is everything is connected, right? And I know for myself, right? If I'm arguing with my girlfriend or if I'm fighting with her all the time, it's going to impact all other aspects of my life. So when I mean holistic, I mean, you got to look at your speech like connected to everything. I know for myself, I just focused on my speech. I want to be a good speaker. I don't want to mess up. I want to say all these words perfectly, but I wasn't taking care of other aspects in my life. So, I'll give you an example. I had a sales team and I got promoted to become a director. This was back in 2018. And I had all this pressure that I had to perform. I had to hit targets. I had to do all these different things to make sure the team was successful. And when I first started, I put all this pressure. I got to show up. I got to work. I got to do all the stuff. I got to and I started stressing myself out, and I was getting lack of sleep, and I wasn't feeling good. And what happens is like the team could feel it. I wasn't being the best version of me. And then I flipped it. I said, what I'm going to start doing is just start working on myself. So as the director, with all the pressure on me, I started to work out at least once a day, if not twice a day, in the morning and at night. I went above and beyond. I read as much as possible. I drank as much water as possible. Like 4 liters, 100%. I ate clean. I did everything I could to take care of myself. I got good rest at night. I just did everything I could to build me up, to make me feel happier, to make me feel better. And what I started to realize is the team started to expand. We started to hit bigger targets. And you could say, well, Daniel, that's not all reflection of you, but there's something there, which is when I get better, the whole world around me gets better. And when you look at your speech, stop trying to find this one perfect speech technique to overcome your stutter. Like, oh, just give me the one technique. Just give me the one thing. Give me everything tonight. That will do it. And what I'm telling you is that's not the goal. The goal is to improve all other aspects of your life. The relationship, the job, your health, the way you communicate, the books, everything. Everything is interconnected. And if you start actually applying this, you'll start to realize your life will start to get better and better and better and better. And you'll start to actually be able to speak clearer. You'll start to be able to clarify, articulate your words better because everything is connected. And number 3, accountability and consistency. Now, this is a very interesting concept because accountability and consistency is something that sounds so basic and sounds so easy, but ultimately this is one of the biggest challenges that people face. It's the course of doing something over and over and over again. And if you ask many individuals, are you accountable to your dreams and goals? Look at New Year's Eve. Okay, everyone. These are my New Year's goals. I'm gonna sign up for the gym. I'm gonna quit smoking. I'm gonna do all these things. And then what usually happens a couple weeks later? What happens a week later? What happens to the gyms? In January is packed. Obviously with COVID, that's not really a thing. But usually the gyms are packed. And then first week of February, back to zero or back to normal routine. And that's the same idea. And the reason why this can be painful is because we get our confidence from, knowing that we're doing the right thing. And when someone reminds you or tells you that you're not doing the right thing, that's why you're messing up. That's why you're not overcoming your stutter. That's painful. It makes us insecure. It takes away our confidence. And what I want to remind you is you can't overcome your stutter by yourself. You can't. You can't become a professional basketball player by yourself. You cannot, build a great life by yourself. You got to have a partner. You can't, be a good student without a teacher. You can't graduate university without a teacher. You can't do things by yourself. But we start to look at our communication like I can do it by myself. I don't need consistency, right? I'll give you a good example. This was, I want to say about 2017, and I've been working out since 16. And it's been 8 years. I was about probably 24 at the time. And I'm working out. I'm watching YouTube videos. I'm reading the books. I got friends. I'm doing all this stuff. But I cannot lose weight. I'm just staying in the same shape for 8 years. And I understand the pain for a lot of people. It's like you do the same thing over and over again and you see no results. I'm just so fed up. I'm so annoyed. So I go into Good Life and I go, okay, I want a trainer. Enough's enough. I need to pay for it. And I did it. And that transaction, there was pain to it. I got to pay X amount of dollars every 2 weeks. This is going to be coming out of my bank account, and then I have a trainer who just eats and breathes protein all day long. And he's got my phone number and he's texting me saying, you better be up, pal. And it's like 6:30 in the morning. And at the time it was very uncomfortable. I didn't want to get up. I want to just stay in my cozy bed. It's so cozy in here. But he kept reminding me of I want you here. And, the painful parts is when I would show up to the gym and I would say, hey, Big Mike, and his name was literally Big Mike. I'd say, hey, man, I'll be honest, I cheated last night. Whatever, I had some junk food. And he'd be pissed off at me. He'd be like, why am I working with you then? Like, how do you expect me to change your life when you're cheating on what you're doing? And, it's very easy to cheat and not stay consistent when you don't have the Big Mike breathing down your neck saying, what's wrong with you? And it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I just got out of bed and he's getting mad at me already. Like, Mike, give me a couple hours, dude. Obviously not. And at the beginning, that was painful. And it was something I didn't want to hear. And I started to become aware, this is why I'm not losing weight. This is why I'm not improving myself. This is why I'm not getting better. And because it's so easy, you build all these habits of cheating, of like skipping, being healthy. I'll be healthy for a couple days and then I'll just eat a bunch of junk food, okay? And I'm Italian, so this is why I give a lot of food analogies. But Big Mike hounded me every single week, and then next thing you know, a month later, I've lost 5 pounds. 2 months later, 10, 15, 20. I'm starting to get into really good shape. And I started to realize, I'm like, wow, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I feel like $1 million. But if I didn't have that harsh accountability that I paid for, not just like having your friend who, wants to do it too and you got to actually be serious about your accountability. Like, start asking yourself, do you have someone accountable to even practice speaking with others? Do you have someone who reminds you that what's wrong with you? Why are you not practicing? Why are you not doing this? Right? People have a gym for their body, but do you have a gym for your communication? Do you go and have someone hold you accountable to remind yourself to speak better? And if you're someone who stutters and if you don't have this, good luck. How do you really expect to overcome it? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, expecting a different result. And I don't mean to be harsh, and I hope you can really see why most people, but I really want to drill this point in. You are the determining factor. If you start looking at, well, it's my genetics, Daniel. Well, I've always been like this, Daniel. Well, I'm big bone, Daniel. Well, I can't because it's where I live, Daniel. Well, it's the economy, it's COVID. That sounds great. And there is some validity to that. But how long are you going to actually buy into that story? One thing I loved about Door to Door is I knocked on so many doors. I met so many families and lives, and I realized who I want to be because of that. I realized the patterns within all these individuals. Every 7-year-old I talked to, I said, hey, if you were 21, what would you change differently? And a good chunk of them, to just sum it up, I wish I made less excuses and I wish I did things that I was scared to do. And I want to remind you that if you really want to become the best version of you, change the aim. Learn a holistic approach. Don't just focus on speech therapy or not speech therapy, but little therapies, little techniques or gimmicks. Focus on every aspect of your life. And then when you apply the therapies and the methods, they work even better. And then finally, you got to find someone accountable. You got to find someone who's going to force you to become consistent. I run a coaching program called Master Your Stutter, which is all about, keeping people accountable of going through different processes to truly master their speech. That's what I do. But for you, find out what's going to work for you. Find out how you can make yourself the best version of you. And that's exactly it. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed, click subscribe, click on the notification bells, and I will see you in the next video.